As little as we like to admit it, tanking exists in the NFL. Some teams are doing it very well right now. The Giants and Saints matched up this week and got exactly what they needed. The Giants stayed committed to the tank after reeling the fan base back in last week with a win over the Chargers, and the Saints got a first win and got some deserved hype around Spencer Rattler. No doubt they will resume full tank operations within the business week. And while I applaud those teams, there are those in what I call Franchise Purgatory. Disregard the flames in my little graphic there, because we all know from Dante's Inferno, Purgatory is not hell.
A little detour on our way to paradise.
How long do you think we gotta stay there?
Now, that's different for everybody. You add up all your mortal sins and multiply that number by 50. Then you add up all your venial sins and multiply that by 25.
It's not hell, but it isn't great. So here are the criteria for Franchise Purgatory. We need a quarterback on a significant contract, a coach we're not sure about, could be good, could be bad, and a roster that one can convince themselves is capable of a playoff run and likely nothing more. Two NFL teams stand out in my mind when I think of Franchise Purgatory: the Arizona Cardinals and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Cardinals are coming off the worst loss I've seen in any sport in quite a while, and I saw the Yankees go down 11-0 in a must-win playoff game earlier that very day. The three plays that lost them the game are engraved in my brain: the face fumble, the goal line drop, and the piece de resistance, the interception fumble kick roll touchdown. And hey, Cam Ward played a really good game too. Another good example of a tanking team getting a win to get the fan base back in. The deal with the Cardinals, despite the fact that over the past, 6 years they've had a lot of other glaring issues with their team, it does begin with the quarterback, Kyler Murray. He's a Heisman winner. He's a number 1 overall pick. He's a Rookie of the Year. And there's a reason that I'm naming a bunch of accomplishments that are 6+ years old. Even when he got the max contract, I think it gave everyone pause when there were stipulations about film study in the terms of the deal. For me, when I watch Kyler, his games are a microcosm of his seasons. He can look brilliant for a half or even 3/4, but he never seems to see things all the way through. And this game against Tennessee was a perfect example. Last week's Thursday night game against Seattle was another example, but in reverse order, as Kyler came on strong late after a hapless start to fall short at the gun. Kyler is pretty injury prone, as many smaller quarterbacks are, and that said, if his career does turn out to be a disappointment, I won't look back and say, man, he could have been great if not for injuries. No, he's had ample opportunity, and that said, a different coach would probably do him some good. The Cardinals coach is Jonathan Gannon, who absolutely meets our criteria here, but is rapidly trending toward getting fired, especially after this last game. I can't stress enough how bad this last game was for him. I don't think I'll ever understand why the Cardinals were so enamored with Gannon that they tampered with the Eagles during a Super Bowl run in order to get him. He was a fine defensive coordinator in Philly, maybe gets too much blame for Super Bowl 57. His defense in Arizona has shown flashes of being excellent, but similar to Kyler, fails to be consistent. Gannon is in his 3rd season now. They've steadily climbed as a unit, going from 31st to 15th and currently top 10 in total defense, adding more and more talent along the way. But the way they lose and often look unprepared, it's a sign of a badly coached team. The roster itself is good enough to give you preseason hype. There's been investment, high-profile players in recent drafts like Marvin Harrison and Will Johnson now. They won't be bad enough to be a top 5, probably even top 10 pick in all likelihood, but there aren't players really firing you up for a bright future. Purgatory it is. Then there's the Raiders. In my first video on this channel, I told you that they were worth rooting for because of this unorthodox roster. I stand by my sentiment, but that roster ain't exactly working. The gunslinger thing was cool when Geno was playing in Seattle because he had good receivers: DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, eventually Jackson Smith and Jigba. But it's a brand new ball game with the Raiders, and he's on a big contract. So we can't be having these interceptions, bro. The bottom line is the gunslinger things that got Geno back to being an NFL starter look like they might end that run. Live by the sword, die by the sword. Tale as old as time. Pete Carroll fits into that coach we're not sure about category because this feels like his last stop. We love Pete Carroll, but it wasn't good at the end with Seattle. He's a legend for that franchise, and they knew it was time. I liked this Raiders team as a fun team to root for because I find the roster fascinating. Top-end tight end, future top-end running back, one of the best pass rushers in the league, and now seemingly very little else. You'd expect a team with major money committed to quarterback and edge rusher, arguably the two most important positions in the sport, to be better. But the roster is years away from ready to compete, it seems. While I'll stress the importance of having a good quarterback and a good edge rusher, I think it'll really show up at the end of the season for the Colts. The Raiders did get smoked by a team with the opposite kind of roster. They don't have major money committed at quarterback or at edge rusher. Again, important positions, but the Colts are so good pretty much everywhere else that it kind of exposed how the Raiders have massive gaps in their roster despite having major money committed to these spots. The Raiders feel lopsided, but they've made these kind of win-now commitments that a team in franchise purgatory tends to make. And because of these commitments, I think there's a chance they string together some wins and play themselves out of a high pick and directly into the franchise purgatory zone. Okay, that's that. What else happened in the world of football this weekend? The Jets are super dead. The Eagles finally lost. Oh well. Drake May seems to have arrived. It was a good run, everybody. The healthy Commanders looked impressive, although the Chargers, in very Chargers fashion, couldn't get out of their own way. Carson Wentz is back. You really never know what you're going to get from this league any week. Check out my podcast, Court Vision, with my buddy Luke. Like and subscribe. I will see you next week.